So let's talk about the crown, but specifically, what happens when a king's health turns into this big public mystery, and the only thing coming from the palace is, well, silence. We're going to dive into why that silence, that vacuum of information, has actually become its own crisis for King Charles. And you might think, okay, so what? Isn't this just royal gossip? But it's actually way bigger than that. See, the monarch is supposed to be this symbol of stability, right? So when their health suddenly becomes a huge question mark, that very stability gets shaken. And the consequences? They're very, very real. The best way to think about it is like a ripple effect. A single stone of uncertainty is dropped, but it doesn't just make a little splash. Oh no, the waves spread out and they touch everything, from what people are saying on the street all the way up to international politics. All right, so Section 1, a king's health in question. It all starts with these whispers, Reports of a lot of unusual activity at the palace start trickling out. But here's the key part. There are no concrete details, none. And that creates this perfect storm, this vacuum that just sucks in all the public's anxiety. Okay, on to Section 2, the palace's wall of silence. So with all this concern bubbling up, what does Buckingham Palace say? Absolutely nothing. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Because, in our 24/7 world, when you don't say anything, that doesn't make the story go away. The silence becomes the story. And what you end up with is this huge divide. On one side, you have the official palace line, which is basically a locked door with a sign that says undisclosed. But on the other side, social media just explodes with speculation. It's a perfect example of that old saying, a vacuum never stays empty for long. It just gets filled up with theories, rumors, and a whole lot of worry. And really, this is the most important thing to get. The silence isn't just a lack of news. The silence is the news. It becomes this massive signal, a significant development all on its own. It screams that something is going on, whether they want it to or not. So, Section 3, a reign under pressure. Remember that ripple we talked about? Well, where does that first wave hit? It slams right into the foundation of the king's reign. It puts this immense pressure on the monarchy's stability and really starts to shake how the public sees the whole institution. You have to understand, this is a huge test for King Charles. I mean, his reign was already starting on kind of shaky ground, right? Public perception was still settling after a pretty complex transition. So this prolonged silence about his health, it does more than just raise a few eyebrows.